marriage as something warm. He used to picture soft mornings with sunlight brushing across the sheets, the smell of fresh tea in the air, the gentle hum of someone moving around the kitchen. A life where love built itself slowly with laughter tucked into corners and comfort woven into routines. But standing outside the enormous glass building of John Enterprises, dressed in a simple cream sherwani his mother insisted he wear, he felt anything but warm. He felt afraid, nervous, and strangely empty. Arranged marriage. 2 words that had thrown his peaceful world into chaos just a month ago. His father had said it with pride. His mother had said it with excitement. His elder brother had said it with relief. And Taehyung? Taehyung had simply nodded, because saying no wasn't an option. The John family was wealthy, powerful, respected, impossible to refuse. And their heir, Taehyung Jungkook, the youngest CEO in Seoul's business history, was even more impossible. Cold, calculating, emotionless. The rumors about him filled headlines. Taehyung Jungkook, the Ice King of corporate Korea. Cold but brilliant, the man who built an empire. Taehyung didn't know which rumor was true, but he knew one thing. Jungkook didn't want this marriage. And honestly, Taehyung didn't either. Not with a stranger who couldn't bother looking at him once during their engagement dinner. But life didn't care about desires. And that's how he found himself stepping into Jungkook's office floor. His heart pounding so loud he could hear it echoing. The secretary immediately stood. "Mr. Kim, CEO John is inside. He told me to send you in." Taehyung swallowed. Right. This was the first time they were meeting alone. He pushed the door open gently. The office was dim, the blinds half down, gray shadows washing over everything. Jungkook stood near the window, his posture straight, hands tucked behind him, black shirt sleeves rolled up, jaw tight. He didn't turn around when Taehyung entered. Didn't greet him. Didn't acknowledge his existence. Taehyung closed the door softly. "Jungkook see?" A muscle in Jungkook's jaw twitched. Only then did he turn. And the sight of him made Taehyung's breath hitch. He was beautiful. Sharp, intimidating beauty. Eyes dark like storms, lips pressed in a thin, unreadable line, shoulders broad beneath the shirt. But his beauty came with coldness, like winter wrapped in human form. Jungkook's gaze swept over him once, not admiringly, not warmly, just observant, calculating, distant. "Why are you here?" Jungkook asked, his voice low and clipped. Taehyung blinked. "You asked me to come." "Right." Jungkook walked past him, the faintest scent of expensive cologne brushing Taehyung's senses. "Sit," he said finally, sounding like he was doing Taehyung a favor. Taehyung sat quietly. Jungkook remained standing. "I don't want misunderstandings," Jungkook began, his tone colder than the marble floor beneath them. "Our marriage is happening only because my family wants it." Taehyung looked down at his hands. "Mine too." "I don't love you," Jungkook continued bluntly. "And I don't plan to." Taehyung swallowed hard. He had expected coldness, but the directness still hurt. Not that he showed it. "I don't expect love from you," Taehyung said softly. "This marriage, I know what it is." Jungkook's eyes narrowed, surprised for the first time. Taehyung continued, "I will never interfere in your work. I won't step into your personal life unless you want me to. And I won't ask anything from you." Jungkook studied him silently. His gaze lingered longer than before. "Good." He finally turned away. "We will live together but keep our lives separate." Taehyung nodded. Jungkook's voice sharpened again. "And one more thing. I don't do emotional closeness." Taehyung managed a small, polite smile. "That's okay. I respect your boundaries." Jungkook's expression didn't change, but something unreadable flickered in his eyes. "Fine. Our families want us to have dinner together tonight. I'll pick you up at 7. "I'll be ready," Taehyung replied. Jungkook gave a curt nod, dismissing him without saying another word. Taehyung stood, bowed slightly, and left quietly. The moment the door closed behind him, he exhaled shakily, pressing a hand to his chest. It hurt. More than he thought it would. Being unwanted wasn't new, he had never been loud or extraordinary. But being unwanted so openly, by the person he was about to marry, cut deeper. Still, he would endure. He always did. When they reached the restaurant, Jungkook walked ahead, maintaining enough distance that anyone watching would assume they were strangers. Taehyung kept up quietly. Their families greeted them warmly, mistaking the tension for shyness. Throughout dinner, Jungkook's hand accidentally brushed Taehyung's once under the table. Taehyung froze. Jungkook pulled away immediately as if burned. Taehyung's heart fell again. Later, while returning home, Jungkook stopped near Taehyung's gate but didn't get out. "Good night," Jungkook said flatly. Taehyung opened the door. "Good night." Jungkook's eyes lowered briefly, almost as if confused by Taehyung's gentleness. Taehyung stepped out. The car drove away. Taehyung stood alone under the dim porch light, fingers trembling slightly. He whispered into the quiet night, "I hope I don't end up falling for you." Because he knew himself too well, soft hearts fall fastest, and his heart, sadly, was already moving in that direction. The wedding came faster than Taehyung expected. A blur of golden lights, soft music, polite smiles, and blessings that felt strangely hollow. Everyone praised how beautiful the couple looked together. Everyone admired Jungkook's confidence, Taehyung's elegance, their matching handbooks, the perfect photo, perfect moment. But no one saw the truth. Jungkook never once looked at Taehyung the way a groom should. He maintained a practiced, emotionless expression. Even when they bowed together, their hands didn't touch. Taehyung smiled throughout the ceremony, a gentle, graceful smile, but only he knew how much effort it took to keep it from cracking. When the final rituals ended, when the guests faded into the night, when the music dimmed and the photographers put their cameras away, Taehyung finally allowed himself a small breath. "It's done. We're married. Officially. Legally. Emotionally. Not even close." Jungkook guided him silently toward the car, not touching, not even standing close enough for their clothes to brush. The drive to their penthouse suite was quiet. Jungkook's eyes were sharp, calculating. He didn't smile. He didn't extend his hand. He simply nodded, a curt gesture that made Taehyung's heart sink a little. "Taehyung Jungkook." His mother's voice cut through the tension. "We hope you both understand the importance of this marriage. It's not just about family, it's about respect." "Yes, Mom," Taehyung said, voice soft. He glanced at Jungkook, hoping for some warmth, some acknowledgement of this shared step into life together. But Jungkook only met his gaze briefly before looking away, his posture rigid. That night, as they lay in bed, Taehyung couldn't stop thinking about Jungkook. The way he carried himself, the quiet intensity, the impossible coldness that made his heart race in a strange, unfamiliar way. Maybe I can make him see me. Maybe he can warm up. Unbeknownst to Taehyung, Jungkook too lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He had never been the type to feel this. A strange pull toward someone he barely knew, a curiosity he couldn't name. And for the first time in years, he felt something unfamiliar stirred deep within him, beneath his carefully constructed walls. The morning sunlight streamed through the large windows of their shared home, painting the living room in a soft golden hue. Taehyung hummed quietly as he prepared breakfast, carefully placing toast, eggs, and fresh juice on the table. He wanted to start small, simple gestures, small acts of warmth. Jungkook appeared at the doorway, dressed impeccably as always, his tie perfectly straight, hair flawless. He nodded toward the breakfast. "I'm leaving early," he said, voice neutral, eyes scanning his phone as if Taehyung wasn't even there. Taehyung's smile faltered. "Would you like some tea before you go?" "I don't have time," Jungkook replied, already moving toward the door. He paused for a fraction of a second. "Thanks," he added, soft enough that Taehyung thought he'd imagined it. He watched Jungkook leave, shoulders stiff, the familiar distance between them growing wider. Taehyung sighed, clearing the plates with a heavy heart. Why is it so hard to reach him? Days passed and Taehyung noticed every nuance of Jungkook's habits. The way he rarely smiled, how he ate quickly and silently, how he avoided personal conversation. He tried everything, leaving notes with little messages of encouragement, surprising him with his favorite coffee, even sitting quietly near him during meetings at home. But nothing seemed to break through Jungkook's cold exterior. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, Jungkook returned home later than usual. Taehyung had prepared a warm bath, hoping the gesture might invite relaxation or even a smile. But when Jungkook entered, he barely looked at the setup. "I don't need that," Jungkook said, voice clipped, as if the warmth of the water had no place in his world. Taehyung's shoulders slumped. "I just thought it might help you relax. You work so hard." His voice trailed off, hurt evident. Jungkook's eyes softened for a brief second, then hardened again. "I managed just fine," he said. "No apology, no acknowledgement." Taehyung sat down, staring at the floor, his heart aching. Is this what it will be like forever? He had imagined marriage as a partnership, a union filled with warmth and shared laughter. Instead, he felt like he was standing on the edge of a frozen lake, unsure if the ice would ever thaw. Yet, despite Jungkook's coldness, Taehyung found himself watching him more closely. The way he concentrated on work, the subtle kindness when he thought no one was looking, the rare softness in his voice when speaking to his assistant. There's more to him, Taehyung thought. I just need to find it. One night, unable to sleep, Taehyung found Jungkook in the study, staring at financial reports under the dim light of his desk lamp. The quiet intensity of his presence drew Taehyung closer. He hesitated for a moment, then spoke softly. "Jungkook, do you ever think about us?" Jungkook's pen froze mid-note. His eyes flicked to Taehyung, unreadable and sharp. "Think about what?" he asked, voice calm, almost dangerous in its stillness. "Us. Our marriage. Our life." Taehyung's voice trembled. I want us to be close." For a heartbeat, Jungkook's usual armor slipped. He looked at Taehyung, not with warmth, not yet, but with something softer than indifference, something vulnerable, though he quickly masked it. "We'll see," he said finally, returning to his work as if nothing had happened. Taehyung exhaled, torn between hope and despair. Just a little warmth, just a little sign. That night, as he lay in bed, he realized something both terrifying and beautiful. He was already in love with Jungkook. And yet, the man remained a fortress of ice, unreachable and enigmatic. But Taehyung was determined. Slowly, gently, he would find a way to melt the walls Jungkook had built around himself. Weekend arrived, bringing with it the rare luxury of a slow morning. Taehyung awoke early, as usual, the sunlight spilling softly across the bedroom. He found Jungkook still asleep, lying on his back, jaw relaxed, fingers loosely curled. For a moment, Taehyung simply watched him, marveling at the rare peace on his usually tense face. He looks human like this, Taehyung thought, a small smile tugging at his lips. Quietly, he tiptoed to the kitchen and prepared breakfast. Freshly baked croissants, fruit, and coffee, brewed just the way Jungkook liked it. As he carried the tray to the dining room, he heard the faint sound of shuffling feet. "I made breakfast," Taehyung said softly, placing the tray on the table. Jungkook appeared in a white shirt, hair tousled from sleep. He looked at the spread, then at Taehyung. For the first time, a small, genuine smile flickered on his face. "You didn't have to," Jungkook said, voice lighter than usual. "I wanted to," Taehyung replied, cheeks flushing. They sat in companionable silence, the soft morning light bathing the room in warmth. Jungkook picked up a croissant, broke it in half, and handed one piece to Taehyung. Their fingers brushed briefly. A jolt of electricity ran through Taehyung's body, and he quickly looked away, pretending to focus on his plate. But Jungkook's eyes lingered on him, unreadable yet intense. Later, while walking through the city park, Taehyung tried to spark a conversation. "Do you like painting?" he asked, gesturing toward a small art exhibit nearby. Jungkook shrugged, unusually quiet. "I've never tried. Not my thing." Taehyung laughed softly. "Well, I've always loved it. Maybe one day you'll try." Jungkook's lips twitched, almost a smile as if he entertained the thought. They walked in silence for a while, but this time the silence was comfortable, not strained. Later that night, Taehyung lay in bed, replaying the day in his mind. He realized he had seen something in Jungkook's eyes, an acknowledgement, almost a recognition of his feelings. His heart soared, but a quiet worry lingered. Jungkook's walls were high, and Taehyung wasn't sure how long they would remain down, or if they would ever fully crumble. It happened after 3 months. Taehyung waited for Jungkook until 2 a.m., with dinner warmed, the table set, candles lit. A silly attempt to make the cold marriage feel a little warmer. Jungkook entered exhausted, and for the first time his coldness carried anger. "What is this?" Jungkook snapped the moment he saw the table. Taehyung froze. "Dinner? I waited for you." "I didn't ask you to wait." "But you thought wrong." Jungkook's voice was harsh. "Stop trying to make this something it's not." Taehyung's lips trembled. "I'm not trying to force anything, Jungkook. I wanted us to at least..." "To what?" Jungkook's voice was sharp enough to cut. "To act like we're in love? To pretend this marriage means something?" Taehyung's heart cracked. "This marriage does mean something," Taehyung whispered. "Even if not love." "We're still partners, Jungkook. Can't we at least try to be civil? Try to be comfortable?" Jungkook laughed coldly. "Comfortable?" "Taehyung, I didn't choose this marriage. I didn't choose you." The word stabbed deeper than a knife. Taehyung's eyes filled with tears he refused to let fall. Jungkook continued, unaware of how deeply he was hurting him. "I have no space for relationships, no need for emotional ties, and I won't pretend just because you're lonely." Taehyung flinched. "I'm not asking you to pretend. I'm just asking you to talk to me, to share a little bit, to treat me like a human being, not a contract your family signed." Silence. Jungkook's jaw tightened. He wasn't cruel, but he was scared of closeness, scared of losing control, scared of letting someone inside. "This is how I am," he said finally, voice restrained. "If you can't handle that, then deal with it." Taehyung swallowed the pain and nodded slowly. "Okay. I understand." He walked past Jungkook, brushing shoulders lightly. Jungkook didn't stop him. Taehyung locked his room door and cried silently until sleep took him. And Jungkook? He stood outside Taehyung's door for almost 10 minutes, fist raised, wanting to knock, wanting to apologize, but not knowing how. Eventually, he walked away. Taehyung's heart slowly chipped away. His smile faded, his laughter dimmed. He started avoiding Jungkook, only answering when necessary. Jungkook noticed, and for the first time, it bothered him. He found himself watching Taehyung more, noticing his silence, noticing the sadness in his eyes. He didn't know what to do with the guilt forming inside him. One night, Taehyung returned from visiting his mother. His eyes were red, his shoulders slumped. Jungkook froze, seeing him. "Were you crying?" Taehyung wiped his face quickly. "It's nothing." "Taehyung, it's nothing, Jungkook, please." Jungkook's chest tightened, his voice softened, and the softest it had ever been. "Did someone hurt you?" Taehyung shook his head. "No one needs to hurt me. I'm already hurting." Jungkook stiffened. Taehyung brushed past him, whispering, "It's lonely here," and disappeared into his room. Jungkook stood frozen, feeling an emotion he couldn't name. Regret? Guilt? Something more? He wanted to go after him, but his feet didn't move. He was afraid of hurting Taehyung more. 2 weeks later, everything changed. They were both invited to a company gala. Taehyung wore a sleek black suit, his hair styled softly, eyes lined just enough to highlight his natural beauty. Jungkook couldn't stop staring. He hated that he couldn't stop. The jealousy, the tightness in his chest when other men complimented Taehyung, it terrified him. On the drive back, Jungkook was silent, gripping the steering wheel too tightly. Taehyung turned to him. "You're upset?" Jungkook didn't answer. "Did I do something wrong?" Jungkook still didn't respond. "Jungkook, please talk to me." "I didn't like people looking at you," Jungkook snapped. Taehyung's breath caught. "Oh, so that was it." "Why?" Taehyung whispered. Jungkook clenched his jaw, his voice low, almost angry at himself. "Because you're mine." Taehyung's heart stopped. Mine. The words sank deep. When they reached home, tension hung thick in the air. Jungkook stepped closer. Taehyung backed up instinctively until his back touched the wall. Jungkook placed a hand beside his head. His voice was low, breath uneven. "I don't know how to handle this. You make me feel things I'm not supposed to feel." Taehyung whispered. "Like what?" Jungkook swallowed hard. "Like wanting you near me. Like wanting to touch you. Like wanting to keep you, and I don't know how to deal with that." Taehyung's voice trembled. "Jungkook, it's okay to feel." "No," Jungkook whispered, pained. "Not for me." "Why not?" Jungkook didn't answer. Instead, he leaned in slowly, hesitantly, giving Taehyung enough time to stop him. Taehyung didn't stop him. Their lips met softly first, shy, confused, trembling. But then Jungkook kissed him deeper with a hunger he didn't know he had been holding back. Taehyung's fingers curled around Jungkook's shirt, pulling him close. Jungkook pressed him against the wall, breath uneven, voice breaking. "Taehyung, tell me to stop." Taehyung whispered against his lips, "I don't want you to stop." And Jungkook kissed him again, harder, deeper, desperate in ways he had never shown before. That night, they ended up in bed together, hands trembling, breaths uneven, intimacy shifting from tense to gentle, painful to soft, hesitant to wanting. Jungkook was careful, gentle, almost scared of hurting him. Taehyung held him close, whispered comfort into his neck, told him it was okay, told him he wasn't alone. For the first time, Jungkook let someone in, let Taehyung see him without walls. Their first night wasn't wild. It was emotional, fragile, soft. Two broken souls trying to fit together without knowing how. Jungkook stayed awake a long time, staring at Taehyung's sleeping face, terrified because he realized he was already falling. And falling made him vulnerable. The next morning, Jungkook was gone. No note, no message, no explanation. Taehyung woke up alone in cold sheets. His chest ached. But he told himself Jungkook just needed time. He didn't know that this was the beginning of the pain to come. The beginning of heartbreak. The beginning of the tragedy before the storm. Taehyung always thought pregnancy was something beautiful. He had never imagined it would come to him wrapped in confusion, fear, and trembling hands, clutching a test he didn't know how to react to. It started with nausea, then dizziness, then fainting for a few seconds in the kitchen while reaching for a glass of water. The doctor's gentle smile confirmed what Taehyung didn't dare believe. "You're 4 weeks pregnant, Mr. Kim." Taehyung froze. His heart stopped. Pregnant. Pregnant. His fingers trembled where they gripped the edge of the chair. A baby. Jungkook's baby. Their baby. Shock crashed into him, followed by a shaky whisper escaping his throat. "A baby?" The doctor nodded. "Yes. You need good rest, stress-free environment, and someone to care you closely." Someone. Someone. Jungkook. Taehyung pressed a hand over his stomach, tears burning his eyes. A small life inside him. His and Jungkook's. Their first real bond. A piece of him and a piece of Jungkook combined into something innocent and fragile. His mind raced with emotions he couldn't untangle. Fear, hope, joy, terror. He left the clinic slowly, his heart pounding so loud it drowned the traffic outside. Jungkook. How will you react? A painful smile touched Taehyung's lips. He knew Jungkook wasn't ready for emotional closeness. He knew Jungkook struggled. But a baby could change things. Maybe Jungkook would soften. Maybe he would finally accept Taehyung. Maybe he would take a step toward love. Even if not much. Even if just a small change. Taehyung was willing to take anything Jungkook gave. Anything. He walked home with trembling excitement, hands protectively covering his stomach. And for the first time since the marriage, he let himself imagine a future with Jungkook. Jungkook was already home when Taehyung arrived. He stood in the living room, tie loose, hair messy, stress evident in every line of his posture. Taehyung entered softly, holding his report and ultrasound picture close to his chest. Jungkook looked up. "Tae," he said. Taehyung's heart fluttered. Jungkook rarely used his nickname. "Jungkook, I need to tell you something important." Jungkook's eyes narrowed slightly. "Did something happen? You look pale." Taehyung took a step closer. His voice trembled. I went to the doctor today." Jungkook's whole body went stiff. "Are you sick?" No, not sick." Taehyung shook his head quickly. "It's something else?" He held out the report with a small smile that was full of fragile hope. "I'm pregnant." Silence. Pure, heavy silence. Jungkook didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. Taehyung's voice softened, barely a whisper. "It's ours, Jungkook, our baby." Jungkook closed his eyes for a second. Taehyung waited, heart racing. Waited for a smile, for surprise, for happiness, for anything. Jungkook finally opened his eyes. And they were cold, colder than Taehyung had ever seen. "You need to abort it." The ground beneath Taehyung's feet disappeared. "What?" he whispered, voice cracking. Jungkook's eyes hardened. "I said you need to abort it." Taehyung shook his head slowly, unable to comprehend. "Jungkook, no, it's our baby." I don't want a baby, Jungkook snapped. And you shouldn't have gotten pregnant. Taehyung stepped back as if slapped. His voice trembled. You're blaming me? Jungkook's hands trembled slightly, betraying the control he fought so hard to maintain. You don't understand, I can't risk it, he said, almost whispering to himself. I've lost too much already, I can't. Taehyung's heart shattered. Lost? What do you mean? You're asking me to destroy our child because of some fear? Jungkook didn't look at him. You wouldn't understand, I just can't choose between me and this child. The words pierced Taehyung like icy daggers. His hands shook, his vision blurred with tears. I can't. I love you. And I can't do that. Jungkook stood abruptly, towering and rigid, but inside his chest was breaking. Then you're making a mistake, he said, voice strained. And I can't be a part of it if you do. Taehyung sank to the floor, sobbing. The love he had felt, the hope, the trust, it all seemed to crumble around him. The man he loved, the man he had given his heart to, was asking him to abandon the very life he carried. Hours passed in silence, broken only by Taehyung's quiet sobs and Jungkook's rigid breathing. For the first time, the warmth, the hope, the connection between them seemed impossible, distant, lost. And yet, deep in the shadows of Jungkook's heart, fear roared, fear of loss, fear of history repeating itself, fear of tragedy that had haunted him for years. But he couldn't explain it. He only knew that the thought of losing Taehyung and this child, whether real or imagined, made him recoil. Taehyung clutched his abdomen, tears falling freely. I love you, Jungkook, he whispered. I love you, and I cannot. Jungkook's eyes flickered, a storm of emotion behind his cold gaze, but he said nothing. And in that silence, broken hearts spoke louder than words ever could. The apartment was silent, suffused with a cold tension that made the air itself feel heavy. Taehyung sat on the edge of the bed, hands trembling, fingers clutching the hem of his shirt. His mind raced, trying to process the storm that had erupted between them just hours ago. He had never felt so lost, so utterly rejected. Jungkook, his husband, the man he loved more than anything, had asked him to make the most impossible choice of his life. Choose between me and this child. Jungkook's words had cut through him like jagged knives. Tears rolled down Taehyung's cheeks as he pressed his palms to his face, trying to quiet the sobs threatening to escape. Why? He whispered into the emptiness of the room. Why would you ask me to do this? I love you. I've given you everything. And you finish. His throat tightened, choked with grief. He had imagined a life with Jungkook filled with warmth, love, and laughter. And now it felt like that dream had been ripped away. Meanwhile, Jungkook paced near the window, his back to Taehyung. The rain outside mirrored the turmoil in his chest. Steady, relentless, cold. He clenched his fists, trying to suppress the emotions threatening to spill over. I can't lose you, he muttered, more to himself than to Taehyung. His voice was rough, strained with the weight of fear. I can't. I've already lost too much. I won't. Taehyung looked up, eyes red and swollen, and saw the rare vulnerability etched into Jungkook's rigid frame. For a brief second, he glimpsed a man imprisoned by fear, by past pain, by memories that haunted him more than he could admit. Not asking you to love me, Taehyung said softly, voice trembling. I'm asking you, don't ask me to destroy this life. Don't ask me to destroy our child. I love you, Jungkook. I can't do that. I won't. Jungkook's chest tightened. His jaw was clenched so hard that it could crack, but he couldn't look at Taehyung. You don't understand, he said, voice low, almost shaking. I've seen what loss does, what it takes, what it leaves behind. I can't. You're afraid? Taehyung whispered, moving closer despite the trembling in his own limbs. You're afraid of losing me. But this isn't about fear, Jungkook. This is about love, about life, about us. Jungkook's hands shook at his sides. You don't know. You don't understand what it's like to lose someone you love, to watch them die, to feel helpless forever. I can't go through that again. Not with you, not with this child. Taehyung froze, understanding flickering in his eyes. Could that be why he's so cold? Why he's so distant? But the pain in his chest didn't ease. If anything, it deepened. So, it's me or the child, Taehyung said, voice barely a whisper. I can't choose. I love both of you. I can't lose either. How can you ask me this? Jungkook turned finally, his eyes dark, haunted, filled with a storm of conflicting emotions. I'm sorry, he said, the single word breaking like a whisper against the silence. I don't know how else to protect you, protect us. I can't risk it. I can't. Taehyung's tears fell freely now, his body shaking as he whispered, Then what am I supposed to do, Jungkook? Am I supposed to just obey you even if it breaks me? Even if it destroys the life I carry? Jungkook looked away, chest heaving. He wanted to move toward Taehyung, to wrap him in his arms, to tell him that he loved him more than life itself. But fear, panic, and old wounds chained him in place. You don't understand, he whispered again. I can't handle losing someone I love. Not like that. Not ever again. Taehyung's sobs grew louder, echoing through the empty apartment. I can't lose you either, he cried. I need you, Jungkook. I need both of you and you. You're pushing me away. For a long moment, they stared at each other, one full of desperate grief, the other frozen in fear and pain. It was as if the world had shrunk to the small, aching space between them, a chasm filled with unspoken words, regrets, and heartbreak. Finally, Jungkook's voice broke, raw and low. I can't. I don't know what to do. Finally, Jungkook's voice broke, raw and low. I can't. I don't know what to do. Taehyung sank to the floor, hugging his knees, tears streaming freely. Then I guess we're lost, he whispered. I love you, but I can't. I can't live like this, afraid of you leaving me, afraid of losing either of us. Jungkook stood still, chest heaving, haunted by the thought of losing Taehyung. And in that moment, the distance between them felt insurmountable. A frozen wall neither knew how to cross. As Taehyung cried, Jungkook's eyes softened slightly. A storm of guilt, fear, and unspoken love raged within him. He wanted to hold Taehyung, to beg him to stay, to explain everything, his past, his losses, his fears, but the words caught in his throat. And so they remained torn apart. Two hearts intertwined by love, yet separated by fear, trauma, and unspoken truths. The room was silent once again, but the ache lingered, a promise that the story was far from over. Taehyung left the penthouse the next morning. He packed slowly, cried silently, held his stomach protectively. Jungkook watched him from the doorway, face blank, eyes dark, fists clenched so tightly they turned white. Taehyung looked at him one last time. If you ever decide to be the father of this baby, you can come find us. Jungkook's lips parted. For a moment, it looked like he wanted to stop him, but fear won over love, and Jungkook said nothing. Taehyung left, the door closed. The silence that followed was the loudest sound in Jungkook's life.
That night, Jungkook destroyed his office, threw his files, slipped down against the wall, buried his face in his hands. His voice broke into painful whisper. I can't lose you, Taehyung. But he had already pushed him away. He curled into himself, chest tight, breath uneven, and then, like a buried ghost resurfacing, memories rushed back. His mother's scream, the blood father crying helplessly, his tiny brother surviving his mother not. Then his best friend in college, her hands cold in his, the nurse saying, we lost her. Every childbirth he had witnessed ended in death, and now Taehyung, the only person he ever let close, might die too. His deepest fear, the one he never told anyone, choked him. I can't lose him like that. He cried silently into his hands, broken, alone, terrified, and unaware that Taehyung was crying in another house, holding his stomach, whispering, please, Jungkook, come back to us. The apartment Taehyung moved into was small, far from luxury, but it smelled like home the moment he entered. It was not Jungkook's house, where every surface gleamed cold and impersonal. It was modest, warm, filled with soft curtains, little plants, and sunlight spilling through windows. A home he could breathe in, and yet every time he thought of Jungkook, a tight knot formed in his chest. He did not know if Jungkook would ever come back at all. The first night in the apartment, Taehyung curled into sofa with a blanket around him, tears streaming. Pregnancy was still early, but already exhaustion and nausea weighed him down like chains. He pressed his hands to his stomach. I am okay. We are okay, he whispered, but the words rang hollow. No father, no partner, just him and tiny life inside him, fragile and unknowable. Night after night he cried quietly into dark, longing for Jungkook's voice, his warmth, safety of a hand brushing through his hair, but the apartment stayed silent.
Unknown to Taehyung, Jungkook was never far, watching from shadows, patrolling the streets outside in his car, unable to stop himself from checking, unable to cross the threshold. Every time Taehyung entered or left, every step he took, every cough, every sigh, Jungkook's eye followed. And every time he saw him smile, even faintly, Jungkook just ached with fear, with longing. On rainy night, Taehyung collapsed while trying to carry groceries upstairs, clutching his stomach. The moment Jungkook saw the message from the building security, a tenant has fallen, emergency, he lost every shred of cloud. He raced through streets like a man possessed, heart pounding, fist clenching, tears blurring his vision. He burst into apartment building, ignoring the stairs, ignoring the dripping rain, until he found Taeyong lying on the floor, pale and shaking. Tae! He shouted, scooping him up effortlessly. Taeyong's eyes widened in disbelief. Jungkook, don't, don't say anything. Stay still. You hear me? Stay still. He carried Taeyong into taxi, ignoring his protest, ignoring the stares of strangers. The hospital was a blur of white lights and hushed panic. Doctors' words were mere professional. Luckily, both mother and baby are safe, but stress can be dangerous. He should be cared for closely. Jungkook did not let go of Taehyung's hand the entire time. The cold walls he always maintained crumbled. His hand shook. I can't, I can't lose you, Taehyung, like this. He whispered, voice raw and broken. Taehyung stared at him, tears streaming. You came? Jungkook said almost violently, "But I can't stay away either. I can't risk of losing you. Not like this. Not ever." Taehyung's heart trembled, realizing for the first time just how much Jungkook's coldness was a mask, a shield fogged by loss, fear, and guilt.
Later, back in small apartment, Jungkook paced, unable to sit, unable to touch, unable to breathe calmly. Taehyung sat on sofa, hands crackling around his stomach. Why did not you come before? Why did not you trust me? Taehyung asked softly, voice trembling. I was scared, Jungkook admitted finally. I have lost people before. My mother, my best friend. He broke off, choked, tears running down his face. Taehyung's breath caught. Jungkook, I never wanted to scare you. I just needed you. Taehyung whispered. Jungkook crossed the distance slowly, as if approaching the fragile animal. He knelt beside Taehyung, placing his hands over his trembling lungs. I thought, I thought if anything happened to you or the baby, I could not bear it, Jungkook admitted. I wanted to protect you, and I did not know how. I acted wrong. I was cruel. I'm sorry, Taehyung's tears fell freely, leaning into Jungkook's trembling hands. It's okay. Just don't ever leave me again. Jungkook's lips pressed against Taehyung's ears in a fierce, desperate kiss. I will never leave you again, he whispered. Never. That night, they finally shared the bed, not as a strangers, as a strangers bound by arrangement, but as two souls trembling on the edge of fear, love, and hope. Jungkook was hesitant at first, his hands shaking, his lips uncertain. Every touch was careful, filled with guilt, reverence, and longing. Taehyung held him close, whispered reassurance, and Jungkook finally let himself fall, falling in love, falling in need, falling into something he had never allowed himself before. Their intimacy was tender, vulnerable, raw, no walls, no distance, just them. Two broken souls clinging to each other in a quiet night. Days passed in a gentle rhythm of love, care, and quiet joy. Taehyung noticed subtle changes in Jungkook, the way he lingered by his side while Taehyung rested, the way he fussed over meals, ensuring everything was nourishing and safe, even in small acts. Jungkook's love spoke volumes. Their connection deepened, not only emotionally but physically as well. Though always tenderly and respectfully, they held each other close, sharing warmth and quiet intimacy. Soft touches, lingering hugs, gentle kisses that spoke more than words ever could. Every moment was a reaffirmation of love, trust, and the bond that had been forged through hardship and healing. Jungkook began to show his protective side more openly, insisting Taehyung rest when needed, accompanying him to checkups, talking excitedly about baby names, nursery ideas, and future. Weeks passed. Taehyung's belly grew. His body changed. Jungkook never left his side. He never smoothed out each kick, each flutter, each sign of life made Jungkook's heart pound. He became protective in a way that scared him as much as they comforted Taehyung. And Taehyung? Taehyung felt safe for the first time in months. Safe, loved, and finally understood. But life never lets joy linger too long. A sudden complication during final weeks of pregnancy shattered their fragile calm. Taehyung went into early labor. Jungkook was nightmare. The night air was thick with anticipation both outside and within the hospital room. Taehyung lay on the hospital bed, clutching Jungkook's hand with every contraction. Sweat beaded in his forehead, but his eyes shone with determination, love, and anticipation. Jungkook, standing at his side, had never felt such helpless in his life. His chest tightened with every cry, every gasp of pain. Hours passed. Time stretched into an endless blur of monitors, machines, and tense voices. Jungkook paced beside him, shaking violently. Tears streamed freely. "I can't lose you. I can't. I can't." The nurse's calm voice barely penetrated his panic. "He's stable. Your husband is strong. He needs you calm, not panic." Jungkook shook his head violently. "No, I can't stay calm. I'm scared. I should have never pushed you away. I should have been there every day. I should have told you. I love you." His voice broke, desperate. "I'm so sorry. Tay, Tay, please forgive me." And then, after what felt like an eternity, a cry pierced the air. A tiny, fragile, perfect cry. "It's a boy," nurse announced, placing the newborn in Taehyung's arms. The baby's small chest rose and fell with each breath, and a soft pink blanket wrapped around him snugly. Tears flowed freely down Taehyung's cheeks. He looked up at Jungkook. "Our baby. He's here." Jungkook stepped closer, unable to speak, his throat tight with emotion. He reached out tentatively, brushing his fingers across the baby's tiny hands. The infant grasped his finger instinctively, and at that moment, Jungkook felt something break open inside him, a flood of love, relief, and overwhelming joy. "I, I was so scared," Jungkook whispered, voice breaking. "I, I did not want to lose you or him. Taehyung leaned closer, resting his forehead against Jungkook's. "You are here. We are safe. He's safe. We are together. All of us." Jungkook's tears fell freely, hot and unrestrained. He finally allowed himself to surrender to the love, to the relief, to the profound joy that had been denied him for so long. "I love you, both of you," he said, voice shaking. "I promise I will protect you, always." Ting smiled through his tears, holding his son close. "I know," he whispered. "We will face everything together as a family." For the first time, Jungkook held their son in his arms fully, feeling the tiny heartbeat, the warmth, the fragile perfection of life, the fears, the trauma, the pain of the past. They all seemed to dissolve in the presence of this tiny life. In the love that filled the room, they spent the night in each other's arms, the baby nestled between them, each breath, each heartbeat, a testament of survival, love, and unbroken hope. Jungkook whispered, promise to their child, whispered, apologizes for the fear that had once held him captive, and whispered declarations of love to Taehyung, who held him tightly, never letting go. And a storm broke, painting the sky in golden and pink. Taehyung and Jungkook knew one thing with absolute certainty. They had faced the darkest fears, the hardest storms, and emerged stronger, bound together by love, trust, and miracle of their child. For the first time in years, Jungkook allowed himself to be fully open. fully loving, fully alive. And Taehyung, who had never wavered in his love, felt the completion of a journey that had begun with fear, endured heartbreak, and blossomed into family bound by unshakable love. Holding their baby close, hands entwined, hearts aligned, they whispered together, "We are family, always." And in that moment, nothing else mattered. The world, the past, the pain, all of them had led them here to this unbreakable bond, to this perfect happiness, to this love that would endure forever.
Days passed, a haze of love, sleepless nights, and tender care. Jungkook never left Taehyung's side. He learned to change diapers, soothe the baby, feed him, hold both Taehyung and their son with reverence and awe. Taehyung was trembling and fearful, now felt safe. He watched Jungkook softly coo their child, caressing the baby's tiny hands. The same man who had been cold, distant, and fearful now held them with all the vulnerability, love, devotion he had buried for so long. One evening, as the sun set, Jungkook pulled Taehyung close, holding the baby between them. "I was so wrong. I thought protecting you meant pushing you away. But it's the opposite. I need you. I need all of you, and I need him, our son." Taehyung's tears fell freely as he pressed his forehead to Jungkook's. "I love you, and we are together now, forever." Jungkook kissed him gently, then leaned back to look at their child. "Our family," he whispered, voice cracking. "Our life, our love, our everything." And for the first time they truly believed it. The cold strength, the heartbeats, the fear all melted into warmth of their shared life. Months later, their home was alive with laughter and light. Jungkook had softened completely, learning every day what it meant to love, to protect you, and to be present. Taehyung, resilient and tender, grew stronger with every smile of their child. They held hands, lived together, loved together, and every night when the baby slept between them, Jungkook whispered in Taehyung's ear, "I will never leave you. I will never leave us." Taehyung smiled softly, resting his hands against Jungkook's chest. "I will always love you, through everything, forever." And in the small, warm home they had finally found what they had both searching for: trust, love, family made not just by fate, but by courage, forgiveness, and heart brave enough to keep believing.